Well, alrighty then. DVR, character motion review, September 24. Okay, start with the neck. So vertical articulation, definitely needs some skinning work on the back of the neck. There's a lot of collapse. Side to side motion, sorry about the headset movement from me and my camera. Side to side motion is very good, I would say. And the sort of the way it drives the body into a turn is best in class from what I've reviewed, I would say. So I think we're already in a good place with that one. Okay, we're looking at player movement in the torso now. So here, Matt Needler, our lovely model, is turning the torso. So it seems to be driving the movement of the character in a nicely effective way. The feet move, seem nicely planted. A little bit of sliding, but no major headaches here. A little bit of a flick there, which was a bit weird. So it'd be nice to iron those things out, but generally pretty good. This is something that got thrown up when we were talking about the position of the headset in relation to the ground and the hands, and just testing that by, in real life, just pivoting at the waist, moving around, and seeing how that affects the character. Seems to work pretty good, apart from the fact that the feet slide quite a lot and you get those occasional weird flicks. So how we fix the flick, I'm not sure, but if we could look at fixing the foot sliding, that would be cool. I'm not sure what the situation with it is with IK on the feet, so we'll have to talk about that. Okay, so now we're going to look at shoulder articulation. Range of motion, skinning issues, this sort of thing. Generally looking pretty decent, although the extremes are still a little problematic. I think we could probably sharpen up the skinning around the outer part of the torso in the arm stretch. Like there's some weird lat spread. There's also still a bit of collapse at the top of the shoulder front delt. When the arms are right forward, they kind of collapse in and go a bit too thin. And I think there's a way we can try to fix that, and we'll see how that goes by tweaking the skinning. So rotational test here, and the real test, this one here, where you're doing the arms out, rotating and turning the head, which created really bad problems in Dungeons of Eternity characters, and it looks actually a lot better here, so awesome. So here we're going to focus on some of the issues that are still standing out. One of the key ones being the arm stretch is still quite severe. How we fix that, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be a very noticeable problem in the other titles that I've been studying. It doesn't really happen noticeably in DOE or in Goot. Or Got, should we say. Ghost of the yeah. I wonder if there's a partial fix in that I feel like actually the arms are a little too short under normal circumstances. I feel like the elbow is a bit higher on me, like higher up the arm than it really is in real life. So maybe that might do a little bit to help alleviate the issue. Some really bad intersecting here, but I mean, if you cross over the hand controllers and then move them off to one side severely, that's a real hard challenge, right? And no game is managed to cater even as well as we have to these sorts of issues. You'd have to have a collision between the arms and the body to do much about this, I think, or some similar kind of restricted zone for movements on the upper arm or something, and whether it's necessary, well, I don't know. So here we've got an archer coming in, so we're just like doing some animations of how that, kind of like faking how the archer animation might look. And we found, interestingly, that what you see of the arm angle in third person doesn't match 100% with what you see in first person. So Needler thought his arm was completely level at that point, when actually it's poking up in third person, maybe 10, 12 degrees. And in order to get to level in third person here, he felt that he was pointing down. So this might throw up some aiming issues. So an interesting one to note. But yeah, there is some weird thing where sometimes the elbow just goes really crazily high and even intersects with your forehead. Other times it stays low and looks, as it should. So I think it must be connected to some angle on the angular relationship between the headset and the hand. Yeah, the hand controller. Like they're right through the head, they're a bit weird. But often it looks okay. So yeah, they're too high again. But if we got any ideas how we're going to fix that, I'd be very keen to make that fix. Here I am talking about how the elbow placement in game feels like it's quite separated from my real life elbow placement. Needler felt his were closer. But it's a difficult problem, right? Because we don't know how tall each individual player is. So it's, all the joints are misaligned to a degree. So it is a very tricky problem. So we're going to look at the wrists now. Performance on the wrist, skinning and motion. Wrist articulation properly now. So yeah, all the different types of axis movements, all looking quite realistic. We still got this flick in the arms, which we need to look at figuring out how we can fix that. But in terms of normal motion, better than the competition, particularly in like this sort of moment. Although there's a skinning issue where there should be a blend between the skinning at the elbow and the wrist, where it should be almost solid to the upper arm at the elbow and solid to the hand further at the wrist, so the whole length of the forearm is the translation of the rotation of the hand, but it's not the case, so it needs a fettling. Here we are talking about foot IK. Just wondering about whether we can use IK to sort of fix the foot sliding during idle, standing still, and wondering what the situation is. And we don't think there's actually any IK on the feet at the moment. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in game terms, the game thinks you're always on a flat plane, and jumping onto a high surface is just like a multiplier on that. But the game still thinks you're on a flat surface, right? So we're looking at, I believe, the turn on the spot now. So this is turning, actually IRL, I believe. Yeah, this is actually physically turning in real life. Foot movements look really good. There is some sliding as the sort of the player's head sort of scoots around as it does. Normally, you lean from front to back, left to right, and it just gets fully translated to the feet. So let's see if we can do something about that. And then coming up now, we have turning on the spot using the stick. Which looks really decent, actually. Like the foot movement feels realistic. It feels like he's balancing on his feet, not just like floating in the air with the plane and animation on his legs, which you see quite a lot in the titles. The sort of weight shift from foot to foot is very decent. The end pose sometimes is a bit weird, but I think we're kicking the ass of the competition on that sort of thing. So here we are looking at the idle pose and waiting for the arms to relax. It takes a few seconds for the arms to relax, but they look decent when they are relaxed, and they will remain in place when you do little head turns and such. So pretty cool, I think. I think we do have a problem with the new elbow, like at rest elbow position. You see it pop out now on the left arm any second. That's the at rest when it's detecting movement in the controllers. It pops your elbows out way too far now. So we kind of got the opposite problem we had previously with too much elbow intersection in the torso. Now they're too far out. So if we can just like zero in on halfway between those two, I think we'd be in a good place. So we're looking at the walk cycle now. So the slow walk is definitely a problem because it's just basically we've got one walk animation, so it's just playing it really slowly, so it looks like you're skating in slow motion on roller skates. I believe we need to have three walk, not necessarily speed, three walk speeds effectively, but the speeds should be determined by stride length. Yeah, so three animations of varying stride length, maybe the same timing. So this would be the normal walk. Then we need a short baby steps walk for the slow, and then I believe we need a jog because I think the speed limit is a bit low in the game right now. So a jog as well, which would be effectively a longer stride length, effectively, you know. But we can keep all the same keyframing and timings, I believe. Here we're looking at strafing, and this is very good. I think it's definitely best in class, totally nailed. The strafing has always been stronger than the straight up walk for some reason. But yeah, done, I believe. So looking at jumping now. That at rest arm position is weird. Let's work on that. But the jump, yeah, given there's no preload, I think it's pretty cool. There's a natural sort of desire to throw your arms up when you do the jump, as Needler is demonstrating here. We see not doing that, and we get some kind of slightly annoying intersection of the hands and legs as you do the jump, so I'm not sure what we can do about that, but maybe we can tweak that somehow. But yeah, does what it says on the tin, the jump, you know, it's not amazing, but without a preload it's never going to be amazing, so we just have to accept that we do the best we can. So we're going into crouch here. So that's physical crouch, which looks kind of upsetting. I'm just repeating it here because I just clipped the video pretty short. So again, we're just going into physical crouch, which yeah, looks a bit grim. So this is the push button crouch, which could be lower, I believe. It just looks like a half sit, and it doesn't look very natural at all. I think this needs work. The crouch needs work in both cases. So here we have physical crouching and locomotion coming up now, which is perhaps the worst thing we have on the character right now. It looks pretty terrible. As you get a bit faster, it looks a little bit better, but still not nice. And then now we have push button crouch and the walk. Here at a bit of a higher speed, it's a little bit more acceptable. It looks kind of a bit more realistic, but still not nice. You know, it's just basically let's lower the hip position, but there's no animation in the upper torso to replicate the weight shift that a human experiences when crouching down and trying to walk, you know. So I think we might need a fair bit of work to get the crouch looking decent. Maybe we need an animator, maybe we can just do it in Unity, but it needs attention for sure. Here we have sword retrieval from the hip, which I think looks pretty decent. It kind of like hops into your hand there, but it does it in a fairly effective way. It's not offensive. It's pretty cool, pretty decent. I think we can live with that. So here we're trying to do force pickup of the sword from a distance, and you gotta move pretty quick because it hops back onto your belt after a couple of seconds. But there we are. It actually, you know, it's fairly decent. The fact that it actually animates between the floor and your hand is more than most games do. They usually just teleport it into your hand without worrying about in-betweening. So I think that's quite acceptable. If not, actually pretty decent. So here we have force pickup of objects, which looks better than it feels, I think, in first person, but you know, there we are. It seems to work pretty effectively. Obviously the hand holding looks pretty tragic here, but I know there's work going on. There's a addressing that right now in the video you showed, Joel, with the goblet. Very promising. I think this is the great solution. So yeah, the force pickup, okay. The physical pickup, again, pretty decent. They're like, in third person it looks cool, in first person it feels alright because we can't see our legs getting in the way. So yeah, I think that's alright. I think it's not quite as polished as it is in Dungeons of Eternity. I think it's very nicely done there. I need to add that to the breakdown on the DOE stuff, but yeah, I think we're acceptable on that one. So we're looking at self-collision now, self-touch. There's a bit of haptics when you touch your chest, which is kind of cool, but nowhere else. That's a weird bit of jank there that's also flicking around. But yeah, you can't feel your legs really. I think you can feel your own arms and hands. Yeah, well, you definitely feel your hands. We know this. So your face you can touch as well, but not the legs, which I think is fine. And finally, player-to-player touch, which works pretty decent. You know, you can like touch the guy's head, the arms and torso and stuff, and other more delicate regions if you so desire. But yeah, I think it's very cool. It's definitely like streets ahead of what's going on in DOE or Ghost of Taboo. So, you know, very cool. So yeah, I'm gonna also just do a few closing comments here. I think we're actually way further ahead with this character than any of us thought we were. I think in comparison with our competition, you know, specifically DOE and Ghost of Taboo, and I would hazard a guess that with other titles as well. Yeah, I think in most cases we're either adequately on the level with them. In many cases we're actually outperforming them quite a lot. Like really some high fidelity stuff going on, which looks really cool. There are a couple of areas that really need some fixing. I know the object grip is in the way, so that's very cool. The other one is if we can solve some of that foot sliding, particularly when stood still, would be another one we should address. I think the 3 walk speeds would be something we should definitely look into, and I would champion quite strongly. I think that's going to be a bit of a game changer on the quality of the animation. I think the crouch needs a lot of work. I think we may even need an animator, just you know, a couple of days of an animator just set that up for us. But the crouch is probably the weakest thing at the moment, and the arm stretching is a problem as well. But in lots of cases, lots of the other stuff, I think we're doing really good. So, you know, I think the end's in sight with getting this character really up to scratch to be what we intended it to be, you know, several months ago, which was the best looking performing character currently in VR. I think we're well on track to achieve that. So this is very good news. Yeah, let's leave it there.